Maddie from Hello Interloper here. Today we're going to go over some current events that are going on in the world of Blood Brothers and also answer a few question and answer questions. So, let's start out with the most recent event that's going on, which is PvP event number 6. I do know that I haven't made an official PvP guide yet. I've been kind of busy lately, but I will probably have it done sometime this week, I'm hoping. But, the basic thing to know is that the PvP event, you walk around, you encounter the events, just like you would normal PvP battles. You attack, get, 3 streaks, whatever, and once you get 60,000 points, you're placed in a group. And the group ranking is kind of odd because rather than, just getting points and then moving up in rank, you actually have to be at the top of this little group in the promotion pool, as it's called, to rise rank. And you have to wait a whole day for the rankings to go through. But basically put, you don't want to be put into the demotion pool. So you want to get enough points just so you can either stand still in your ranking or move forward. And the reason why this is so important is because this PvP bonus, so to speak, which is about, anywhere, I believe, from 1.01 to 1.4 boost, it actually stays around until the next PvP battle event. So you want to get as high as possible, so just in your normal endeavors, raid boss event, it sticks around for that, it's nice to have a damage boost and overall stat boost for everything else. So, there are 2 new familiars that have been introduced, the Jinx Eye Dragon and Warrior Cyclops. Let's go over Jinx Eye Dragon first. Jinx Eye Dragon, it has a pretty cool artwork there. It's got like one eye that's glowing, creepy tongue and everything. And it's rather interesting because it has a ability that has a chance to silence all foes at the beginning of a battle with a maximum of a 70% probability. Which means that if this procs and let's say it does actually silence everybody, you can just imagine how useless the other team would be, not being able to use any attacks whatsoever other than a standard attack. So, it's rather interesting. I guess we'll have to see how effective this ability really is. It's not influenced by any stats, so it's just pretty much a 70% chance of proccing. And then, you see its stats over here. It has very high attack, pretty good HP and Agi, and then the lowest 2 stats are defense and wisdom, which are kind of funny. They're exactly equal. So about 13.25K. So now for Warrior Cyclops. This is a little bit disappointing in my eyes, at least, because I was hoping for a nice attack guy. Because mostly event rares, they go really cheap afterwards now. And unfortunately, he's got Cloak and Dagger, which is, okay if you need a defensive guy, but usually I like having all my guys being attack based. So, Warrior Cyclops, you do get him when you get 4 million points, which personally I think is pretty hard to attain. If you do have a lot of Bugles and Gjallarhorns, I'm sure it's probably doable, but honestly, this event I will not be going for this guy. He's got a pretty good HP. If you see over here, he's got 16.3k, and that's a lot for a rare. And his defense is pretty good, but his attack, wisdom, agi are really subpar, especially for a event rare. So let's look up Cloak and Dagger just so you guys are all familiar with it. It is actually modified by attack. So his attack's not really that high, so he's not going to be that great when it comes to this ability. It's a defensive type ability, has a 50% chance of actually happening, and only works for an adjacent ally. So honestly, I am not very impressed with this guy. I'm not going to be collecting him after this event, or not even going to try to get him this event. So, that's enough about Warrior Cyclops and whatnot, and this event. There has also been something else that's been going on, and unfortunately, it's not very good. And we've seen this before. It's happening entirely all over again. What we're seeing is a mass economic downturn in this game, just like what happened in Rage of Bahamut. Um, I don't know if you guys knew this before, but when, I believe it was Oniroku. Oniroku came out. He was an event sort of guy here. And when he first came out, he was worth around, I think, 21 at first, 21 Gjallarhorns, which is a lot. So he was 21 Gjallarhorns, and ever since then, with every event guy that's been coming out, the prices have been going down, and so have the prices of absolutely everything. We're seeing things like Gerdablilu, for instance, which used to be around 10 Gjallarhorns, going for as low as 3 Gjallarhorns. We're seeing Thor going for 3 Gjallarhorns, 4 Gjallarhorns. We're seeing a lot of prices just plummeting, and where Odin used to be around 36 Gjallarhorns, I've been seeing it going for 27 some days. Everything has been going down in price. And I know Bat Demon, when it first came out, it was about 15 Gjallarhorns. Now I've seen it gone as low as 10, 9, 8. Lindworm, which was the most recent event rare, so to speak, is now about 6 Gjallarhorns, which is extremely low for something such as an event rare. So we're just basically seeing a lot of new familiars coming out for very, very low prices, and things that used to be worth a lot are not worth a lot anymore. Now, I'm no economist, but I do kind of have a theory on why this is happening, and I will start out by looking up Gizlandi for you guys. Gizlandi used to be pretty much a staple of what a familiar is supposed to be. Gizlandi was the strongest familiar for a very long time, of course, aside from legendaries. But as far as rare to epics go, Gizlandi was kind of the pinnacle of the great familiar. It had Berserk, did so much damage, it was worth a lot. People would just go crazy over Gizlandi. And people had Gizlandi Ironheart teams that were all Gizlandi. Now, what's happened in recent times is that we've been seeing a lot of event guys that have pretty crazy stats. If you see here, his stats really aren't that good anymore as far as, familiar standards go. That's okay, but it's really not as great as the things that we're seeing now. And unfortunately, with all of these new familiars being released and, just pretty much every event, there's a new event rare, a new legendary, there's always new packs coming out all the time. What's happening is there is no more one great familiar. Although Odin is pretty nice, there also are a lot of other familiars that you kind of don't really know where to place them as far as hierarchy goes. And that means a lot of people are switching, saying, oh, I need to upgrade, I need to upgrade, I need to upgrade. Of course, this makes these a lot more desirable, but also creates competition. People want to sell things for cheap so they can get that really good thing, but they aren't really sure which really good thing to get, so it kind of all goes all over the place. And because things such as, well, I always love using this as an example, but Nunu Mountain Giant at some point used to be worth about 4 Gjallarhorns, about 15 bugles back when bugles were able to be used. It had a pretty crazy price back in the day, but now it's pretty much worthless. You can buy one easily for about 2 Gjallarhorns, so really we've seen a lot of reduction in prices, which would be really great if you've been saving up Gjallarhorns, but if you haven't, it's really tough. So this kind of brings us into a question that over here that Enrique Lopez 02 asked, any tips on trading, getting good familiars? I mean, I've been playing for a month and a half and I don't have anything good yet. Good familiars are so expensive and I get bad stuff from packs. I want to get some Gjallarhorn. Thanks and have a nice day. Well, unfortunately, trading is really crazy lately, and I will share what I've been doing lately. It isn't that effective, and it's not exactly the best method, but it's pretty much the only way that I've been able to get some Gjallarhorns lately. What I've been doing is trading absolutely anything I have, and mostly stuff that's kind of worthless, stuff that you usually see going for about 1 or 2 Gjallarhorns, and trying to trade it up. So usually a good thing to trade up to is about Medusa 2. You can usually trade, let's say you have a fully evolved raid rare, you can usually trade it for a Medusa 2, which is worth a little bit more. Then with the Medusa 2, you can trade it for something even better than that. A Grendel usually works, and Grendel can be sold for about 6 Gjallarhorns, or you could go for Lindworm, which has been my current thing of choice. Why does it not show up? Lindworm? There we go. Lindworm goes for about 6 to 7. If it's fully max level, it goes for about 8 or 9. So what I've been trying to do is continually trade up. Then once I get Lindworm, I cash it in for Gjallarhorns. I haven't really made a lot off of it, and it's really hard because sometimes trades just don't go through. Other things to do are, I know that this guy, I did a successful trade with this guy before, Sir Bedweir of the Rose. I traded for the second evolution from something extremely worthless, traded it for him, and then traded for Lindworm, and then sold it. So, it's kind of odd because trades, sometimes you'll get something that is worth a lot more than it really is, you know, if you just did Gjallarhorn. So, like, let's say I sold the Nunu for 1 Gjallarhorn, or I could trade it for something that's worth 3 Gjallarhorns. You can always do that. That's one way how to make a bit of Gjallarhorns, just from trading, and it's always hit or miss. You kind of have to be really familiar with the economy and which kind of familiars are worth what. Remember, you can always check view history when in the bazaar to see what it has previously traded for. Try something on that list. Of course, some of them are really blatant account transfers. So if you see 3 legendaries for something not so great, like Sir Bedweir of the Rose, you know that someone just transferring things between accounts. So don't fall for that. Don't be, you know, too in over your head here. But, you know, if you see somebody doing it for a Fafnir, maybe you want to try that and then sell the Fafnir for Gjallarhorns. It's all kind of, you know, just playing around. And thankfully, you can put 5 things on the bazaar at once every day. So you kind of have a lot of chances to just play around with different trade-ups. Some of them work, some of them don't. But there are so many Lindworms in this economy right now that you can easily trade certain familiars for a Lindworm. There's a high demand for it, so you can usually put it for about 6 Gjallarhorns, and it will sell within a day. So, might be worth trying that out. I also have one question from Cheesy Alt about how to switch warlords. Unfortunately, you can't switch warlords. Once you choose your warlord, that's permanent. Of course, you could make a new account, and that's kind of not exactly the best thing to do. And especially now, every warlord, because they're allowed to use the add skill ability, every single warlord can be useful. It's not exactly worth changing them. I mean, even the Bluebeard, who kind of was worthless before because he has low attack, yet an attack-based skill, you could completely get rid of that and put something wisdom-based. Like, imagine him with Flash of Rage. He would do an amazing amount of damage because he has a very high wisdom. So, you know, any warlord can be made useful now. You just need the means to do it. Of course, you know, if you're going to teach the Bluebeard Flash of Rage, you're going to need an Odin, which is going to be very difficult, but you can just, you know, check the stats, see what's going on here. You know, the White Knight has high defense. You might want to teach it something defense-based. Has pretty good attack. Okay, agi. And I've actually been seeing a lot of people lately take the Grey Mage. And because he has the highest agi of all, which is pretty curious, seeing that it's actually Golden Lance that's supposed to be more agi-based. A lot of people have been teaching him agi-based abilities such as Rush or Scythe Storm and doing absolutely massive damage. He also has high wisdom, so Flash of Rage would do a lot of damage as well. So you could just kind of, if you don't really know what the max stats are going to be for your warlord, you can just check on the wiki. It's bloodbrothersgame.wikia.com, and you can just check it out and see what kind of things might be good for your warlord. And there's also discussions here. So you can see what other people are using. So anyway, that's about it right now. Hopefully what we're going to see is the economy kind of stabilizing, because right now it's all over the place. I don't really know what's going to happen because they keep releasing all these new familiars and kind of gets things a little muddled up. But we can just hope for the best, hope that it doesn't turn into a whole Rage of Bahamut scenario where everything is crazy priced and nobody really knows which cards are best without looking at the wiki and all this crazy stuff. So anyway, good luck everybody, until next time.